Hey, it's Michelle. Tried to do a video outside, but between the mosquitoes and the oncoming thunderstorm, I thought I'd better come in here in the darkness. Sorry about the lighting in here. It's just so dark. I live in an old house. It used to be a barn in 1949, and then it got converted into a house. So they don't have any light fixtures on the ceilings. All I have to light with are lamps. So that's why it's so dark in here. But it's cozy. It's cute, and it's home. So it's been an interesting day. Monday I lost my part-time job, so I've been trying to, find another one. And today I've had a few possible prospects come in one day, so I have to figure out which one out of all three is going to be more suitable for me. But, I'll sleep a lot better tonight just knowing I have some options to think about. And also, today was an interesting day because when I got to work this morning, the state of Kentucky had sent my boss a letter from some old doctor bills that I had incurred back in 2015. Here in Kentucky, the state can collect on doctor bills that have occurred from University of Kentucky. Which I don't think is right because they are penalizing me $275. And the state collects the money. Not the doctor, the state. So, and they can, garnish your wages. They'll take your whole paycheck. Luckily, my boss was nice enough to go ahead and pay the $600 for me. This is not the first time they've had to do this either. I mean, this has been going on. It goes on every few years. It's like the state, they examine everyone and find out if they have any doctor bills that they might owe and turn them in so they can, garnish your wages. Anyway, they're just going to make me pay them back the penalties, the 200 and something dollars, which, is total bullshit. We already have somebody has a lawsuit against the state as we're speaking. I read it in an article about a month or so ago where, somebody is, legally suing the state of Kentucky over this nonsense because they're collecting fees. The state is collecting fees off of people who can't afford to pay their doctor bills. So, it is totally wrong. And by the way, I incurred these doctor bills in 2015, right about the time the narcissist started coming in my life. If you have a narcissist in your life, you're more than likely going to get some doctor bills yourself. They have no regard for your body whatsoever. I'm just going to leave it at that said. So now let's get into the topic of, narcissism like we have been talking about. And I'm just going to say that, I'm not going to call what we had a relationship because it was never a relationship. I'm going to call it a manipulationship because you are manipulated from day one. Relationships have intimacy. Relationships have loyalty. They have honesty, and they have security. And they also have trust, and they don't withhold information. Okay? So, this is why we can't call what we had a relationship because we had none of that. We had the complete opposite of that. It's total manipulation. So, and I want to talk a minute about why, you're probably wondering if you don't, I'm sure if you're looking at any narcissistic videos at all, you've had an experience with one, so you already know what I'm talking about. But, a lot of people don't understand the full effects of narcissistic abuse. And they do have some pretty bad effects. I've experienced them myself. It can cause brain damage after, if you've been involved with a narcissist for any long period of time, your brain is in a constant state of anxiety and fear. The narcissist will keep you like that. You're suspicious, you're anxious, you're fearful. You don't, you're always, your heart's racing, you're getting, all this adrenaline rush, It's the amygdala in your brain. It controls your breathing, your heart rate, your basic emotions of love, hate, lust, fear. They're considered your primal emotions. And you get into like a fight or flight mode When you're dealing with narcissists or anything that's traumatic, you go into a fight or flight mode in your brain. And you experience the same things that you saw and you felt and you heard over and over again. And I think that's why when you're in a narcissistic relationship, you keep going back, because it's so addictive. Your brain starts to wonder, well, why aren't we getting all this cortisol and adrenaline? Now it's nothing, it's boring, so we go back. We go back because we miss that roller coaster ride. And we don't, sometimes we're lonely. And, I went back 4 times. They say the average is 7 with a narcissist, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And basically, eventually, you're going to get tired of being used. And there will be a final discard. And sometimes this is the effects of that, because your brain has been, it shrinks and it swells. A part of your brain, it shrinks and it swells from all the emotional abuse, the ups and the downs. So, it's going to leave you with things like nightmares. You'll have severe anxiety and panic attacks. You'll want to go back to the narcissist. You'll reach out to them. And let me tell you, when you do, they will, if you've hurt that narcissist at all, any narcissistic injury, if you've insulted them, if you've exposed them, they will take that advantage of you reaching out to them, and they will come back and use you again and hurt you even more. I mean, take it from experience. I did it 4 times. You'll have panic attacks, you'll have phobias, you'll have loss of sleep, you'll have cognitive dissonance, and you'll replay all these things over and over and over every day, even after the narcissist is gone. And you'll see things sometimes, or hear things, or smell something that will trigger, and your heart will race, and you'll see, them on social media. I highly recommend, do not look at their social media. You have to go no contact, no visual, because you'll just do this to yourself over again, because you'll see them with their new supply, you'll see them being happy. They'll do this purposely, to hurt you, because that's what they do. So it's best just to, when you go no contact, go no visual. It's like cold turkey. It's like, stopping a drug and just going cold turkey. And it's hard, and you will suffer from some of these things if you've spent any length of time with a narcissist. Now, if it's just been, it might be different for somebody who has a short relationship with one, a few months or whatever. They don't spend years with them. So anyway, I just want to kind of get that out of the way of the reason why I'm doing the videos is, they do have this effect on people, and it is quite serious. Some people never get over it. It's taken me a year to I don't want to say get over it. I don't think I'll ever get over it, but just to talk about it and without, a lot of emotion, and I've gotten over the nightmares and the things like that. It's taken that long compared to other relationships where you're over it in a month or 2 and you're completely fine. It's not like that with a narcissist. So I just wanted to get that out of the way and let everybody know that's the reason why I do this. Because the effects are devastating. So I'm going to get a little bit into the childhood that he had told me about. These are just things that he told me. I don't know what his childhood was like. I wasn't there. But the first thing that is very disturbing, the first thing, he was adopted. That's not disturbing. But, that could be the reason that he turned out to be a narcissist, because that's, you feel rejected from your birth parents, and that's completely understandable. I can imagine how devastating that could be. But it still doesn't give you an excuse to treat people like shit for the rest of your life. It doesn't. The very disturbing part was he told me that he killed animals as a child. Around 12, 13-ish, he did these things. He had killed neighbors' cats, dogs. He would dissect them. And he said that he still to this day would have nightmares about it. And I told him, well, I hope you do. I hope you have nightmares about it. So, when he tells me this is a huge, I think the hugest red flag ever. Because, I've heard of, psychopaths and, killers, serial killers who have, killed animals as a child. I'm not calling him a killer or a psychopath. It's just, that was a huge red flag. It caused some anxiety inside of me when he told me this. And again, what do? We try to find a good person in there. He said that, he felt bad about it and he had nightmares about it, which, just saying. He had some ADHD as a child. I think he was on medication for that. So that's another little red flag about, some childhood issues. He went to prison as a very young adult. In his college years, he said he had gotten into a fight and he had stabbed a guy because he was beating up a girl or something. And apparently he stabbed this guy bad enough to put him in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. And he was in Texas at this time, and they are a little harsh down in Texas, and he got 5 years prison time for that. So that was his first little, I guess, lockup time, because he's had several. So he's done 8 years total in his life. So this was, as a young adult, he did his 5 years in Texas prison for putting somebody in a wheelchair for the rest of their life. So, another red flag. Gotta watch for him. That's about all I know about his childhood. So I really can't say much more about that. But, those are just some things that struck me as, sort of serious. And, could have led to the narcissism. I don't know. So I'm going to talk a little bit about his marriage. Might as well call it Polymory because she was bisexual. Of course, I told you that on our first date he ranted and raved about how his ex-wife just destroyed his whole life and she stole and snorted up everything that they ever had. She had him locked up there right before the last time they split up. That's the reason they got a divorce. She had him locked up and her son. I think he did about a year in jail. I think they were selling drugs out of the house or something. I don't really know. I just know that she had him locked up and he was in there for a year. And when he got out, they got a divorce. And of course, he said she sold all his shit. He didn't have anything when he got out. And, Anyway, so she was bisexual, and that's one of the first things he told me too, another red flag. If a narcissist, they can have a marriage, but it has to be under certain circumstances. And I think they can have long relationships or situationships with other people who have disorders as well. I mean, if the lady was bipolar, like everybody says, that's what her children, and he has claimed that she was bipolar. Well, he's a narcissist, so, they can make it work for a while, I guess. It'd be a lot of fighting and, a lot of problems, but, they're both out there. So, and I think her being bisexual just made, that makes a perfect relationship for a narcissist. They don't have to go out and cheat. She'll bring a woman home for you. So yeah, they can have a long-term marriage under certain circumstances that benefit them. But even that has an ending. It's just, it's just extended a lot more, than with a normal individual. Apparently they did a lot of drugs together. She even steals from her children still today, is what I've been told. He raised her children. He considers them to be his. That's his daughter and his boy, as he referred to them, but not biologically. And I find it funny that he actually has a biological daughter, but he doesn't have anything to do with her. Something went down with her when she was a teenager. She accused him of sexually molesting her, and apparently, this is what I've been told by him, that the cops showed up at the house and did a DNA swab on him, and apparently he was cleared of all this, but he will not speak to her because, I have to get the cat. Hang on. You have to go outside, kitty. I got the bunny in here. Now go. And so that's a little bit about his marriage. And after the marriage, of course, while he was in the marriage, he got to sleep with a lot of different women. But after the marriage, there's probably countless women that he's, been with, been dating, been at their house, stayed with, made house keys with, brought the PlayStation over. It's just one after another, after another, after another. So, just wanted to share that with you about, a narc marriage and how, it can last. If you have two crazy people together and you have multiple sex partners and it's okay, it's an open marriage, basically. So, and what else? I mean, there's so much to talk about. I want to talk about the new supplies and the old supplies, and I'll get into that. If I get into a new supply conversation, it's going to be lengthy, so we'll save that for another video. Let's talk a little bit about some other people that I've dated, and this is sort of disturbing to me. I've been single for 8 years. I was in a 15-year relationship, and that's going to be another video as well, with what in my opinion, was a borderline personality disordered person. So that's a whole nother video. I dated another narc as well before this one. I met him online, and I wouldn't recommend dating online because, I've met, out of 3 guys I dated online, all 3 turned out horrible, and 2 of them are narcissists. So I would not recommend dating online. Just saying. I've tried it a lot. It just doesn't work. So, the love bombing with this guy. Okay, first date. I love you. Can you imagine being on a first date with someone and they tell you that I love you? Well, this one did. And then, after the first date, and we had a good time. We spent time together. I found him attractive and everything, but the I love you was like, what? You don't know me, right? So I kind of overlooked that as well. And, after the first date, he just ghosted me. I mean, just severe, extreme ghosting. And they'll do that too. They act like they don't know you. And then, every 2 months, this guy would just call me and say, I love you, I miss you. Every 2 months. Every 2 months. And, I went out with him some, and his ex-wife, oh, yeah, they had a lot of issues going on. They're constantly calling. She would beat the door down at his house. I mean, it was just craziness, and I just wanted to mention him because the Hoovers, narcissist Hoover, they call it hoovering, because it's like they suck you back in like a vacuum. So this guy hoovers me every 2 to 3 months. It's no matter what. Just, another little example. I've rambled on for 19 minutes. I'm going to have to wrap up this video. But yeah, so next time I think we'll talk about the new supply. I mean, I have so much to talk about with that. Everybody struggles with that. That seems to be the number one topic among narcissistic abuse, because, you know, you're thrown away like a piece of garbage. You're suffering from all these symptoms that they leave you with. You know, you've been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, used to the max, and then you see them go on to the next relationship, and it's like they're just completely happy, like you never mattered, you know, and it's just this. Actually, the same thing is going on with them that went on with you. I've compared notes, and, you know, I have a lot to talk about on that subject, so I'll wrap it up for tonight. It's already 6:15. I think I better get dinner and take care of my big bunny, Jigger. So y'all have a good night. Bye.